What keeps you going is like, I mean, I've been doing movies for a long time. Yeah. There's not one that has been the same. Right. Just when you thought you figured it all out, a new thing happens, I mean, there's like, you'd be surprised all the time.
Prepare your ears, humans. Happy, Sad, Confused begins now.
Hey guys, it's Josh, and welcome to another edition of Happy, Sad, Confused. The main event today, a really special one, Benicio Del Toro. Benicio Del Toro, first-time guest on the pod, one of the best actors for the last 30 years. I'm thrilled to say he's on the show talking Phoenician Scheme and his entire career. That is the main event today on Happy, Sad, Confused. Other things to briefly mention before we get into that. You have one more shot if you're listening to this on Monday or Tuesday of this week and you're in Los Angeles. Come on out. I've been touting it for weeks. Gary Oldman. It's maybe not going to sell out, but it's going to be pretty damn close to a sellout in this beautiful fine arts theater. There are some seats left, but it's an intimate setting. It's going to be an intimate chat with one of our greats, Slow Horses, but also we're going to hit on Dracula and True Romance. And I don't know, as much as I possibly can, because I adore this man and this actor, Harry Potter, Batman films. Come on. Gary Oldman. As always, hit up our Patreon. That's where all the early action is in terms of announcements, bonus materials, merch, patreon.com/happy, sad, confused. If you like what I do, it honestly really does help us make more of this. We are a small operation. Every little bit counts. So check out the Patreon. Lots of different tier levels. Support us over there. Helps us make more of this stuff for all of you. Okay, so Benicio is front and center right now in the Phoenician Scheme. This movie's about to come out. This is the new Wes Anderson film. He's been in one other Wes film. He was in Grand Budapest Hotel, but that was a smaller role. This time, he's at the center. Really cool. Great role for him. He's surrounded by Michael Cera, Mia Threppleton. Put that name on your list. She is indeed the daughter of Kate Winslet. And when you hear her in the film, I know I clocked her and I was like, oh yeah, that's the daughter of Kate Winslet. Same exact voice and very talented in her own right. Big things ahead for Mia. But it's a huge ensemble as always. Benedict Cumberbatch, F. Murray Abraham, Bill Murray, a ton more. Well worth checking out, as is every Wes Anderson film. We touch on as much as possible Benicio's career in the time allotted. I wish I had more time, and hopefully he'll be back on the pod, but we were able to cover a bit of The Usual Suspects and Sicario and his role in the Marvel films, a little bit on Star Wars, Fear and Loathing. Yeah, I mean, this guy has so many amazing credits. He is one of the best out there. He's an Academy Award winner for Traffic. I believe he also got a nomination for 21 Grams. He's worked with some of the best filmmakers on the planet, and I'm just so thrilled he's finally doing the pod. So I hope you guys enjoy this. Check out The Phoenician Scheme. It's in theaters any second now. I believe at the end of this week, if you're hearing this as this drops, put it on your list. Every Wes Anderson film is well worth checking out, and this is no exception. And without any further ado, enjoy this, my chat with the great Benicio Del Toro. Benicio Del Toro, whether you know it or not, you've been on this list for this podcast has been going 11 years, so I finally got you. I've made it.
Okay.
Thanks for doing it, man.
Thank you.
You've obviously worked with Wes before, but it's a good phone call or email or monogrammed letter, however he tells you that it's happening. This is really a good moment to hear you're going to be in a Wes film and he wants you for the lead.
Yeah, it's kind of like winning the lottery. I mean, I've never won the lottery, maybe winning a bingo game, but you know what it really is a motivational pill of sorts.
Yeah.
You know, you get motivated, you get excited, and, you know, you stay up at night thinking about it and hoping you deliver, you know, inside that crazy, you know,
meticulous world
of Wes Anderson, you know.
But it's got to be a degree.
And super original too. You know?
I mean, yeah, there's
everything.
Truly no one like him. I mean, there's so many reasons that an opportunity like this is exciting. I mean, yes, you must feel an amazing amount of safety in the hands of Wes. You also literally every day are working with another amazing different actor. He assembles the best of the best. His crew he's cultivated over decades. I mean, is it kind of at this stage in your career, maybe it was even this early on, about trust, about comfort, about kind of feeling like I have license to do what I do without worry? Is that kind of a little bit of what this is?
Well, you know, I think it's a combination, but you do what you do. And then someone like Wes, who's so unique in what he wants, he's prepared, he's storyboard every shot. He knows your lines as good as you know them. It really is different, but it's the same. I mean, and by that I mean, like, you prepare the same way. And then what you were saying, which is like, every so often, a new actor or actress comes in and they just elevate you.
Yeah.
From Riz Ahmed to Tom Hanks, Bryan Cranston, Jeffrey Wright, Matthew Merrick, Scarlett Johansson, Rupert Friend, Hope Davis. It's just the list is on. And then, the dream sequences, which are like, a lot of them are pretty silent, know, and you look into the side and you got F. Murray Abrams, you got Bill Murray, you got Willem Dafoe. It's quite stunning and quite exciting, and when you really got to pinch yourself to say, hey, I'm here with these legends.
I've heard you talk about, with respect to Wes, like, or any director, you even as an actor, having done this a while, an Oscar winner, you've accomplished so much. It's still nice to hear encouragement and positive reinforcement. I mean, what do you need or want to hear from Wes Anderson that's going to kind of like embolden you and encourage you? What's an actor like you looking for?
Collaboration of some sorts. I think that I turn to look at the story. First of all, I need to understand what the writer is trying to do. In this case, what Wes is trying to say.
Yeah.
And I think we got to that. And then I look at it from the point of view of the character. I'm looking at the story kind of like from the point of view of the character. And what I would like to have, which I did with Wes, it's at least the to listen to if I have a concern. And I'll give you an example. We were doing a scene where I first meet my daughter, Liesel, played by Mia Thrippleton. And in that scene, I'm telling her a lot of information that is very private, that my character considers very private. But in the same set, there is a character, my tutor, played by Michael Cera.
Yep.
Bjorn is the name of the character. So he's sitting there, and as I read it and we play with it, there was a little bit of rehearsal. I remember telling Wes, I just don't know if my character would be dropping this type of information with a stranger.
Right.
Bjorn sitting there, I don't think he would be telling his daughter all this information. And then he said, well, how about if we polygraph him? And then, okay. And then he comes up with this idea of the lie detector and, a very Wes Anderson prop.
Right.
And so that's what you look for. You look for that kind of lane of communication, that it can be, and then it makes, then I can try to be in the moment.
Well, that's, as you well know, that's the key. And like, even for a filmmaker meticulous who draws the lines very specifically, it's heartening to hear that there's still room for you, because otherwise, where's the joy for an actor? I mean, you need to find some spontaneity in his animatics, which I know he shows actors. And,
yes. You also, it's a little bit like if it's like doing a play that has already been written and
blocked, even perhaps.
Blocked, and like if you did a play from Arthur Miller, let's say if you did a play like View from the Bridge, it's already been interpreted and it's been locked. So when you do it, you can't change it that much. You won't rewrite Arthur Miller. So it's a little bit like that. But within that, you can bring yourself to it and make it unique. And that's, I think, every actor that works in a Wes Anderson, somehow he or she will find that.
I've never had the privilege of being on a Wes Anderson set, but there are certain filmmakers where I feel like in my mind's eye, I know what it is. I feel like, I mean, tell me, is it basically what I would imagine a Wes Anderson set to be in terms of
Like kind of like this?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
Very
a little bit.
meticulous.
Oh, yes.
There's a certain air of I don't know, seriousness. He's wearing a suit. I don't know. Give me a sense of like what the vibe is on the Wes Anderson set.
It is everything you're saying, but at the same time, it's just like any other movie set I've been in where the director wants the actor to be in the moment, to be as honest and as truthful as he or she can be, you know? So at the end of the day, you know, I'm trying to be. So being in the moment and being in that set, just kind of like, I can't like enjoy it because I am part of the set.
Right.
I am like that chair. I am like, except, you know, I got to perform, but, you know, I am part of the set. And so you might take it, you might have to take it for granted a little bit, you know?
Right, yeah.
But
the catering might be nicer, but at the end of the day, you have to be in the moment and live that life.
And think about this next take and try to land here to say that line. So it takes you quickly stop being a tourist.
Right.
On a Wes Anderson set. But for those who get to see the film, when you see the film, it's magical, you know. It's like it's almost like you're doing a movie and there is the camera. I block it out.
Yeah.
You know, I don't see the camera anymore. But you might come into the set and go, well, there's the camera right there. But I don't. So for me, the set of Wes Anderson is I don't get to enjoy it or look at it, or I mean, I enjoy it,
of course,
and I feed from it. But you know, I don't like. I don't sit there and admire it as much as I would like to.
Yeah, you got a job to do.
Yeah.
Okay, we have the luxury of a little time, so if you'll indulge me a little bit. I mean, one of the treats of this is seeing you front and center. I mean, you've been the leading man in films. You've been the supporting player in films. When you were starting out, did you envision, I know theater was big, obviously, first, but when you started to transition to film and TV, did you imagine being at the center of the frame? Did you see yourself, Puerto Rican man, the name Benicio Del Toro? This is not on paper where they give the leading men roles to, especially 30 years ago. What did you imagine?
Well, I did and I did not.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you have to.
Yeah, if you can't imagine it, who else is going to imagine it for
then
you?
You can't even follow it. So I did imagine that I would be, you know, that I wanted to be, you know, an actor that would command, you know, whatever, a good part. And I knew quickly that it would take a lot of effort and a lot of work and a lot of perseverance, and being Latino as well, you know. So, but I did kind of saw myself, you know, somehow trying to do what actors I admire, like Al Pacino, De Niro, Denzel Washington, or Dustin Hoffman. You know, these are actors, Robert Duvall, you know, actors that you admire and you go like, oh, yeah, I want to do what they do. Or even Sean Penn, you know, was like closer to me. But yeah, so you have to like believe, and it's kind of, you know, at some point there's so much grinding that
if you don't have that belief, what's going to keep you going? What's going to
well, what keeps you going is like, I mean, I've been doing movies for a long time. There's not one that has been the same. Just when you thought you figured it all out, you know, a new thing happens, you know. I mean, there's like, you'd be surprised all the time. I mean, I'll give you a surprise. It's like, I thought I'd seen everything on the set. And on the set of this, it was Bill Murray's first day. He's playing God in the film. And it's a dream sequence. And we're waiting for him. And I hear this music. And he walks in with his own soundtrack, with a boombox. And he's cranking some Eric Clapton. And I'm going, wow, I've never seen that before. And it's just, okay, this is good. It's good music. And everybody starts to move. And then from the corner of the set, you hear Wes Anderson go, Bill, classical music only. Classical music only. And Bill Murray just looked away and just pressed the button, and Clapton turned into Bartok, or some classical music came out blasting, and he kept walking, and it was like, wow, I got to remember that one.
Yeah.
That I haven't done. So, but that's a little example. But every story, every movie, every director, everything is different, and that makes it exciting.
When did your family stop worrying about you? Like, by the time, was it before or after Usual Suspects? Like, before Usual Suspects, was that the game changer?
No. I mean, a little bit, but no, it was even after I won the Oscar for Best Supporting Actor. I remember my godmother, maybe 3 days later, is like, you could be a great lawyer. You should take some,
what
night classes at night, law. You could do law school at night. You could be a great lawyer. And it's like, no, it kind of like, I think that then, after, I don't come from a family of theater people or movie people. So they were very nervous with me. I come from a family of professionals, but not in the movie world or the theater world. So they were very concerned, and I understand. I'm a father now, and I just let my daughter. If she wants to, one day she wants to be a lawyer. I said, great. The next day she wants to be, a designer. Great. But I do know that if she wants to be an actress, you just have to let her be. I think there's more opportunity now than when I was going out for auditions for an actor. I think that now there's more. There's all these TV series, there's a lot of stories being told as we speak, but still, it's a very
the odds are not in your favor.
They're not in your favor, But you can't get in them. But I do understand it, and I did then. Their concern,
So it has been 30 years since Usual Suspects. When you showed up on set with that very specific take, the cadence, the mumbling, like the almost inaudible approach to Fenster. What did the producers say? Did they pull you aside and say, like, we might need to make a change, or were they all in?
No, Bryan Singer and Chris McQuarrie, the writer, and Bryan Singer, the director, they were very encouraging with it. They were really, my character died on page 38 or 39. It was just like, I had 5 scenes. So they trusted me to create that character and, give it whatever to it. And, but for me, it was a little bit scary because, I remember when I finished my last day of shooting, I felt like, I don't know if this is going to work. And but I got lucky because the movie did so well.
Right.
Because the cast was so strong. The cast was very encouraging too, with what I was doing. And, so you can only be as good as your movie.
Sure.
And the characters kind of survives in a way because the movie was terrific.
I want to rattle off just a few of the directors you've worked with over the years. It's kind of an insane list. I mean, this is just a fraction. Steven Soderbergh, Denis Villeneuve, Terry Gilliam, Peter Weir, Christopher McQuarrie, Alejandro Iñárritu, Oliver Stone, Paul Thomas Anderson a second time now, Wes a second time now.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a hell of a roster. Can you cite one or two that fundamentally changed your approach to acting, that really changed you as an actor from that experience?
Well, there is Steven Soderbergh. He definitely. That was probably the first time I, had a real rapport with him as a director. There'd been some before, like Bryan Singer, Julian Schnabel.
Sure.
There were filmmakers that I could talk to almost like friends, you know.
Peers, yeah.
Yeah. But then, then after that, I think all of them have touched me one way or the other, whether it's, Alejandro Gonzalez Iñárritu or Oliver Stone.
Yeah.
And there's things that they've said that I will remember on particular moments, that there's, they're all of them do. And, Wes Anderson as well. And, he's my latest, influence, I mean, I learn a lot from all these filmmakers. I mean, definitely Denis Villeneuve, who, but I think all of them you take. But Soderbergh was a moment there because of the success of Traffic. And,
right, Traffic, and then into Che, which is such an adventure.
Yes.
I mean, my gosh, the trust that you had in each other to go on that journey must have been extraordinary.
Yes, it was.
You mentioned Denis. I mean, I've talked to Josh about this, Josh Brolin, and he had a good experience, but he also said to me he didn't know what that movie was going to be. He didn't realize how good Sicario was going to be. Did you have a sense? Were you kind of shocked of like how holistically the music, the cinematography, it all was going to come together?
No. Well, I knew he was a hell of a filmmaker because I've seen his work prior to Sicario. But he, there was an opening sequence where my character was introduced, and it was a type of scene that my manager and my agent, they were all excited about this scene. And so when I go see the movie, that scene is not in the film. So I'm immediately from the get-go. Well, it was like, okay.
Yeah.
And, the work he did, directing, the photography, the music, the editing.
The tension, I mean, that he
tension, yeah.
establishes.
It's just, it's superb. It's really a tight ship. That movie was a really tight movie.
I heard you talking to Roger Deakins, and the great cinematographer, and he said something that was really striking that didn't necessarily surprise me, that you're the only actor he's ever seen ask for less lines. And that was in Sicario, and maybe it's been in other works. Is that just intuitive that, like, this guy is going to function better as a contrast to these other characters, that he's a coiled spring, that when he does speak, it's going to have more impact? Give me a sense of like the idea behind scaling back on.
The idea behind was the idea behind it was like the character was explaining what happened to him in Sicario, why he had become a Sicario.
Yeah.
And my suggestion was like, in my experience in life, and I've met some men that have been in situations similar to that or been in traumatic situations, they don't talk about them.
Right.
They don't, and especially not to strangers. I mean,
right.
It takes
Talk to a war veteran, they're not going to tell you
what
happened.
It takes years
Yeah.
before they talk. So that was the approach. The approach was like, I don't know if I see a guy like this opening up to Emily Blunt's character.
Yeah.
So it was, and Denis understood that right away. And he kind of said, I get it. And he then had Josh's character explain it to Emily, which makes more sense.
Right.
But thinking about that movie and the Wes Anderson movie is night and day, because with Wes, you have to, you respect the word.
This is the most verbal character maybe you've ever had, probably. I mean, like
probably, yeah.
It's kind of striking to me, again, when I think of like the career as a whole, it's like you have these wild extremes. Like you have the most like verbose characters sometimes, like something like this, and these very silent characters. And you're not afraid to like kind of go big or go home. Do you like kind of being on the nice end? Well, yeah, challenging, but also feeling like this could go either way. This might work or might not work.
Yeah, but I think, but I'm kind of like, I know who's in charge.
Right.
I mean, when you have someone like Wes Anderson in charge of this story, the Phoenician scheme, you trust them, and you know that you are in the hands of the one filmmaker that, and you can see it too. I mean, I've had an opportunity to work with really good writers or material based on really good writers, like Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas.
Sure.
That's an example. And Wes's script reminded me a lot of Hunter S. Thompson's writing. And the fact is that I found myself asking Wes, telling Wes, maybe we don't need to say this, and convincing him, which wasn't easy, to take something out.
Yeah.
And then in the process of filming it, going back to Wes, and I said, you know what? I think I'm wrong. I think we need to bring that in.
Wow. Yeah.
You know, because his writing, it's almost like it's like a Jenga building. So if you take a line out, it just falls. You know, and that happens with really good writing in a way. You know, so his writing is superb, and you know, I recognize that, and when there is good writing, that writing will feed your choices as an actor, will help your acting. I mean, yeah, I mean, that's a no-brainer.
Talking, you know, about kind of the swings of the kind of characters, it's also the kind of films you make over your career. You know, you've made the artiest of arty films, whether it is Che or working with Schnabel, et cetera, and then you're not afraid to be in, you've been in, you know, Star Wars and Marvel and these big Bond franchise at the start. I mean, do you get something out of everything? Do you get something out of the Wolfman as much as you do out of a Che or whatever?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
you do. You know, when you do a studio film like, let's say, a Marvel movie or you know, or a Star Wars, it's a different approach in a way, but it's not.
Yeah.
You know, it is, but it isn't. You know, it's like acting is acting.
Right. Once you get to action, it's still truth. It's still.
And I don't. You know, I like all kinds of stories. I like all kinds of movies. It's not. I'm not just like, oh God, I just like these type of movies.
Yeah.
You know, I like all kinds of movies. So it's kind of fun to be invited to do a film like The Phoenician Scheme, for example, which is like a little bit outside of what you would see me doing. Probably closer to something like The Collector in a way, or closer to something like that. But
it's a heightened reality, but.
Yeah, but differently. Yeah, but different. And you know, so it's exciting to try to you know, figure it out and you know, go for it.
You mentioned Star Wars. You ended up in Star Wars. Here's a rumor I always want to ask you about. Tell me if there's any truth to this. Way before Last Jedi, it's said that you were offered, or maybe even cast, as Darth Maul in the first prequel movie by Lucas, and then they scaled back the part, and you guys agreed to kind of part ways. Is there any truth to that? Do you remember that? No. Okay, good.
No.
Settled.
Okay. No, I don't remember that, but you know, I don't remember everything. But you know, but I don't remember that.
Okay, fair enough.
I don't remember being cast in another Star Wars movie except for the one I was cast.
When Ryan comes to you, that's a double. You get to be in a Star Wars movie and you get to be in a Ryan Johnson movie.
Right, absolutely.
Is that as much the excitement?
Yeah. Oh yeah, it was kind of like, it was really cool that he asked me to come in and play with him. Yeah. You know, play DJ. You know, so it was a lot of fun.
Did we squeeze enough juice out of The Collector? Did you get your money's worth? Do you feel like you got enough to do? Is there more on the table?
There's more on the table. Yeah.
Okay.
Definitely, there's more on the table. You know, well, it's not up to me, but I think there's
your game. You're available.
Yeah.
Okay. Tech avail.
Yeah.
Directors that have gotten away. You worked. I listed the amazing directors. I noted you worked with Michael Mann on a commercial though.
Yes.
You didn't get the film experience.
No, I didn't. I worked with Michael Mann. I also, you know, as a producer as well, I worked with Michael Mann much earlier because I did a Miami Vice.
That's right, of course.
And I also did a TV series called Drug Wars, the Kiki Camarena story that Michael Mann produced. So Michael Mann was there at the very beginning of my career.
You feel like a natural to fit into that world.
Yeah.
He's one of the greats. I'd love
Yeah,
to see
yeah,
you in
definitely.
that role. Any other filmmakers that you've been chasing or that you're surprised haven't?
You know, there's a lot of filmmakers that, you know, I haven't worked with that are great, but, you know, I just...
You can only do so much.
Yeah, and you know, these filmmakers, when they come find you, you know, if you're not busy doing something else, believe me, you jump at the opportunity.
Yeah.
Like, you know, like Wes Anderson. There's some movies that are like that they don't get the recognition when they come out.
Right. Fear and Loathing's one.
Fear and Loathing is one. I mean, we got like that cold bucket of ice, and then it finds an audience, and then you kind of go like, well, we weren't wrong after all.
Yep.
Because there's a lot of doubt that happens when you do a film and you put it out there for people to see it. And, you know, some people talk about it. Critics come in and they talk about it and they say things. And sometimes, you know, they might say things and you go, well, maybe they're right and maybe we were wrong and da-da-da. But it's kind of like amazing when there is a film that finds an audience.
Yeah.
And Fear and Loathing it was a journey like that. It was like really neglected when it came out. And then little by little, you know, it was one of those films that people, you know, come to me and say, oh, Fear and Loathing, Fear and Loathing. You know, the other one that is like that, but it was a success in a way, Sicario. Sicario, yeah.
Sicario got a reception at the time, but you're right. In the years since, now it's hailed as a classic. It's an all-time masterpiece.
Yeah, it just kind of like, it travels in time real well, yeah.
Odds today of the sequel? I know that you mentioned that
there's talk about it. Yeah, I haven't read anything, so we're hoping.
Yeah.
You know, fingers crossed, yeah.
You reteamed with PTA. This is maybe my most anticipated of the rest of the year. Get to work with Leo. That's got to be special and fun.
Yeah.
You guys are contemporaries. You go way back, I assume.
We go way back as friends, and we never worked together. And finally, we worked together, and it was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
You know, I finished this, and I went straight into that.
That's a good doubleheader.
Yeah, real like, well, yeah, it was kind of like, okay, you know, it's like, you run a marathon and then they go, hey, you have to run another one. When? Tomorrow.
Did you and Leo back in the day go up for the same roles? Like you were contemporaries. You were
No, I don't think so.
Yeah.
I don't think, you know, Leo is Leo. You know, it's like you know, but did I don't think we did. But, you know, we've been friends for a long time. I'm a fan. And you know, and so it was really nice to work with him and to be in the process. We had a lot of laughs.
Yeah.
Also, I'm you know, working with Sean, even though I
You've been
don't have
directed by
any scenes
Sean
with
and-
him.
Yeah.
But being in a movie with him, I haven't seen him in a long time.
Yeah.
It was kind of cool.
All right, we're going to end with
Also,
this. The
yeah.
happy, sad, confused, profoundly random questions. Are you a dog or cat person, Benicio?
I think I'm a dog person, but I like cats too. But yeah.
I'm with you. Do you collect anything?
Yeah, I think I collect. I do like sprint collecting in a way. I just collect something for a
I
little
see.
while and then I stop collecting. But now the thing I've been collecting, and maybe it's not collecting. It's just I like it. You know, it's just music. You know, I think I keep investigating music, keep finding music that I didn't know existed. You know.
Yeah.
So I've been listening to, when I was in Berlin, was going after some krautrock, and then, you know, a lot of reggae,
Nice.
some reggaeton from San Juan, gotten into that too. But I think vinyl
Yeah.
has been like a thing like that is like, it's a lot of fun to go back to it. And it sounds better, I think.
Physical media,
Yeah.
always.
Yeah.
Favorite video game of all time?
Pac-Man,
Old school. Love it.
yeah.
What's the wallpaper on your phone?
It's a picture of my daughter.
This is the correct answer.
Yeah.
Last actor.
Yeah.
Better be right.
Yeah.
Last actor you were mistaken for?
Guillermo del Toro.
Okay.
Yeah.
Great filmmaker.
Yeah, great
no
filmmaker,
resemblance,
yeah.
but great
But yeah,
filmmaker. What's the worst note a director has ever given you?
I don't know if it was a director or if it was a sound person a long time ago. I think it said, you can never take an article of clothing and talk at the same time.
Saying
You
that
can
that's
never-
specific
you
to
can
you?
never- Yeah, you can never take off an article of clothing while speaking at the same time.
Is that a general rule or for you specifically?
I think it was a general rule, but it was kind of like, well,
Isn't that what living and like acting in the real spaces?
Yeah, I think they were more concerned about
Sound.
their sound, so you act for the sound man or the sound woman.
Talk, then remove clothing.
Yeah.
And finally, in the spirit of happy, sad, confused, an actor who always makes you happy, you see them on screen, you're immediately happier. Who comes to mind?
That's a lot.
I know. But just one that's
that's a lot. It's a lot. I mean, Marlon Brando is like, he comes up and, I just go there, but there's so many. Humphrey Bogart. I mean, I look at those old guys, and, keep them alive that way. But, and there's a lot of contemporary too that, Tom Hanks, Scarlett Johansson.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Movie that makes you sad.
It's a Wonderful Life.
Yeah, that comes up a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a good question. Would you have sent those to me before?
That's a good answer.
I would nail
though.
it then.
No, you nailed it.
No, but it's like, definitely that
That's
one.
a good one.
Yeah.
And last but not least, a food that makes you confused, Benicio. You don't get it. Why do people enjoy that food? You see it on a menu. Not going near that.
Olives.
I'm with you. Hate olives.
Oh, you do?
Hate olives.
Oh, wow.
I know.
I don't know. For some reason, I don't know what. But I love olive oil.
Me too.
Yeah. So,
We got this.
Yeah, we got this.
We share good taste in films and hatred of olives. Congratulations, man. Phoenician Scheme is exceptional. Wes always delivers. You always deliver, and this combination
thank you.
is fantastic.
Thank you. Josh.
Thank you so much for taking the time today, man. I appreciate you.
You're welcome, and thank you.
And so ends another edition of Happy, Sad, Confused. Remember to review, rate, and subscribe to this show on iTunes or wherever you get your podcasts. I'm a big podcast person. I'm Daisy Ridley, and I definitely wasn't pressured to do this by Josh.